Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Torigno, and this is the Chapter 5 quiz review for Algebra 1B for the quiz that is Friday, October 26th. Alright, number 1. To vote in a presidential election, citizens must be at least 18 years of age. Think about what at least means. At least means 18 or bigger, 18 or older. So writing an inequality to represent this situation, I would just say x is greater than or equal to 18. So basically I'm saying that you can be any age that's bigger or equal to 18. I know that sounds awkward grammatically, but that's the correct way to interpret it. Okay, this next section, 2 through 6, these are just solving inequalities and then graphing the solutions on a number line. Remember, solving inequalities works just like equations with just a couple of exceptions. So here, x minus 3 is less than or equal to 18. I would just add 3 to each side and end up with x is less than or equal to 21, which means on a number line I would want to stick 21 someplace. I'm going to use a closed circle because of that equal bar there. And then less than would be shaded to the left. So you want the left half of the number line, including the arrow, to be shaded. So that's what that one would look like. Okay, number 3. I see that on the left side I have a negative 4x and a negative 3x. So I can combine those two things to make negative 7x plus 1 is greater than negative 20. Let's subtract 1 from each side. So negative 7x is greater than, negative 20 minus 1 is negative 21. I know I've chosen a bad pen. Okay, sorry about that. Negative 7x is greater than negative 21. Divide both sides by negative 7. Now, right here, because I'm dividing by a negative, that means that I have to flip my inequality around. So my final answer is going to be x is less than positive 3. Remember, you have to flip that inequality anytime you're dividing or multiplying by a negative number. So on my number line for this one, I'm going to stick 3 on there. There's no equal bar, so I don't want to include the 3 in my answer. So I'm going to use an open circle, and less than would be shaded to the left once again, including my arrow. Alright, third one says 8x minus 8 is less than 7x. This is one of those where there's a couple different ways you could go, and all of them are going to have some kind of complication to them. Okay, so just whichever way you choose to go with this one, be careful. I would probably, because I see that over here on the right there's only x's, there's no constants, I would subtract 8x from each side and move the x's over here. So that leaves me with negative 8 is less than negative x. And 7 minus 8 is negative 1. So remember, this is really a negative 1 here. And then I would have to divide by negative 1, which gives me a positive 8. But because I divided by a negative, I have to flip the direction of my inequality. So my answer for this one is 8 is greater than x. But when I think about putting this on a number line, okay, and I know I don't want to include 8, so it's going to be an open circle, I want to shade everywhere where 8 is bigger than x, which is really the same thing as saying x has to be smaller than 8. Okay, these two are really saying exactly the same thing, but this one's a little bit easier to interpret in terms of your number line. So once again, I'm shading to the left for less than. Okay. All right, number 5. Negative x minus 4 is greater than or equal to negative 2. I'm going to start by getting rid of that negative 4. So when I add 4 to each side, I end up with negative x is greater than or equal to positive 2. Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. Again, I'm going to have to divide by negative 1. So those cancel, and I end up with x is less than or equal to negative 2. And again, I flipped that inequality because I divided by a negative 1. So that would be a closed circle on negative 2. And again, less than is to the left. Can't believe I gave you guys all less thans to shade. Just keep in mind that if it were to come out greater than, you would be shading to the right. Okay, it all goes on the direction of the inequality. And my last one, 10 is greater than 19 plus 3x. So I'm trying to get x by itself, which means I want to subtract 19 from each side. I end up with negative 9 is greater than 3x. Divide both sides by 3. Now, be careful here. Oh, I'm sorry. Be careful here. You divided by a positive 3. It doesn't matter that this is negative. What you're dividing by is positive. So this one, the inequality will not switch directions. So negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3 is greater than x. And again, that's your answer. So I would want an open circle on negative 3. But if negative 3 is bigger than x, that means x is smaller than negative 3. So I would want to at least think of this in my mind as x is less than negative 3. And I really did give you all less thans to shade. Kind of a fluke. Okay? That does it for page 1. Pull this back down so you can see that whole section. And I will do another video for page 2.